this was the demo that I did on the Cool Katz demo day in Peterborough a couple of weeks ago, and I so loved doing it. And thank you to everybody who came and watched. It was lovely. So I'm going to start by making the pocket. So, right, we're having a bit of buffering problem again today. The pocket itself, I've cut the piece of card to 7 3/4 by 3 3/4. So 7 3/4 by 3 3/4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to score. And I'm going to score on 3 sides. So, where's my scoring tool? Here it is. I'm going to have it landscape, and I'm going to score at half. I'm going to turn it 90 degrees to portrait. I'm going to score at half and 3/4. And then I'm going to turn it another 90 degrees back to landscape and score it at half and 3/4. Okay, I'll put that away. And then you use these 2 clever little tools. Now, they're the sort of thing you buy and you think, oh, I'll use those loads, and then you forget. But when you get them out again and you start using them, you just realise how really, really useful they are. So these are the little corner dies. And if I can bring it up so that you can see, there are 2 sets of parallel lines and 2 little notches, 2 there and 2 there. And what you're going to do is you're going to line those up with those lines that you've just scored. So you're going to line it there and there. If I take my finger away, you can see. Let me just put a bit of tape on. So if I bring this up, hopefully you'll be able to see. So those 2 notches line up with those 2 parallel lines, and those 2 notches line up with those 2. And then you do the same on the other side. This is how simple it is. Kay and Maggie always make their dies so simple. And then you run it through your die cutting machine. Now, as I've said a lot of times before, I haven't got a lot of space. If I try and run things through the die cutting machine, all that happens is everything vibrates and falls off. So in true Blue Peter fashion, here is one I did earlier. So you can see where these have been. So if I turn it over, you can see where the cuts are. So you've now got everything you need in order to make the pocket. So I'm going to fold all those score lines that I've made now. I've got glue all over my fingers. Okay. And this side. And this side. Now I'm using 290 card, which means I have to bounce it a bit to break the fibres. At the demo I used Cool Katz card, and it's a much lighter weight and easier to use. But my supplier has stopped making 240. Okay, so I am going to do all of those. And then I'm just going to give them a little burnish, because I do want them to be pretty sharp. Okay. Good morning, Jane. Good morning. Thank you for coming on and joining us. I hope you're going to have a go at this and you've got the dies. So I'm going to just do this one. I mean, if you haven't got the dies, you can just make a dimensional pocket. But what I've done, and you'll see later, is I've made something that fits exactly. So I tend to do this in stages. So you'll notice, hopefully you can see, you've got 2 little tabs there and there. So I'm going to work with those first. So I'm going to fold those down so that they are at right angles. And then I'm going to put the tiniest little bit of glue. Well, I'm going to try and put the the tiniest little bit of glue. There we go. Onto that one. I'm going to fold it to make a corner. And I'm going to hold it just for a couple of seconds. And then I'm going to get a little peg. So I'm holding it just so that it's in position. And then I'm going to put a little peg on it. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. So just a tiniest little dot of glue. My glue gun is gunged up again. Fold it round so that you are making a corner. So it will fall naturally into that position. It's really difficult because it's so small to show you. And I'm just going to hold it for a couple of seconds. And then I'm going to put a peg on it. Now, I'm quite an impatient crafter and I would want to move on to the second stage. So putting the pegs on it means it holds it in place and I can just put it to one side. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take 3 pieces of card and they measure 5 by 5 3/4. So 3 pieces of card at 5 by 5 3/4. And you're going to take your largest batwing die and you're going to place it, turn it over, so that 2 of your sides fit just inside the cut. So you don't actually want these to cut. You're going to snugly fit those just inside the cut line. You're then going to put your tape on this other edge. Now, you're then, oops, let me just move that out of the way. You're then going to take your die plates. So every die plate is different. I'm using the tangerine. Get it the right way around, Sarah. With the taped bit at the top, this is why I say tape this side. That's a reminder that you're not going to cut where the tape is. Okay, even this morning, I put the tape on and then cut the whole thing. So it is supposed to be a reminder, do not cut the tape side. So it's fitting tightly there and there. And you put the tape on the other side. Then when you run it through like that so that your tape is showing. And again, that will stop you from cutting it. So it doesn't always, as I say, the first one I did this morning, I completely forgot. I had something else on my mind while I was doing it and I cut all sides. But the idea is that you're not going to cut where you've put the tape. So if I take the tape off, because I have already done this, so if I take the tape off and move this, you can see now there's nothing to cut round here because you've gone just snugly inside those cut lines. And all you've really done is cut that top piece. And then what you're going to do, and you can do this with a trimmer or you can do it by eye, is you're just going to cut that off. Okay, so what you've got is your batwing plus a bit. So a batwing plus. And then we're going to get the scoring board again. And we're going to score this time at 1/2 inch and at 7/8. So 1/2 inch and 7/8. Now, what I would recommend is you don't try and fold these all together. You fold them one at a time as you're going to fit them. I got myself into such a kerfuffle. That's a nice word, isn't it? Kerfuffle. I got myself into such a kerfuffle when I first did this because I kept getting it round the wrong way. So you're going to have 3 pieces of card at 5 by 5 3/4, and 3 times you're going to cut that batwing in the way that we've cut it just now. So you'll have 3 pieces like that. Okay, I'm going to put those to one side for a minute and come back to this. So I'm going to take these pegs off. And now I'm going to fold the side in. And again, I don't know whether you can see, but there's like a little square there. Can't see whether you can see it. But there is a little square. And what you're going to do, you're going to have to do this on both sides at the same time, is, oops, put another little dab of glue on there and there. The reason you have to do them both, you're going to fold that in, and if you don't do it on both sides at once, it's really difficult. Now, here's a little trick. Should have got this out earlier. I didn't realise when I had my Cool Katz Clever Tools, the corner spacers, that my largest one was supposed to be thicker. And Ali pointed it out to me, and Maggie was brilliant. She got me the thicker one. So that should be thicker. So if you put that underneath, that will act as a guide just to get that into place. Now, when it's in place, get a peg and stick a peg on it. Oh, peg's broke. Do the peg the right way, that helps. Anyone would think I'd never pegged anything. Okay, I'm just going to get that peg in there, just to hold that together. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Bring that in, using that corner to help me. And this was Karen's idea. Thank you, Karen. Just bring that in to help you line it up. And then put a peg on it. Okay. So again, we're just going to leave that now to dry. This is me being really patient. Okay. It is better if you're patient. If you haven't got these, they're just absolutely wonderful. I use them all the time. Right, back to this. What you will also need is a little strip. And this strip is 5 inches by 1 inch. And this is going to form your spine. Now, you want the book, when it goes into the pocket, to be absolutely flat. So this took some fiddling about to work out how to do it, but I think I'm there. So the first hinge, you're going to fold all the hinges twice, and they don't have to fold in any one direction because you want them to be flexy. But when you come to put it on your spine, you're not going to put it on your spine. You're going to put it under your spine. So there's my first glue, and I'm actually gluing the spine to the top. So now my spine is slightly smaller. Yours will be right the way up. I've just mismeasured very slightly. So, and I'm going to put my spine on top. So if anything, your spine will be slightly too big. Don't worry about it. You can trim it off afterwards. Okay. So that, for that one, the spine is going on the top. So that's your first one in place. So you're then going to fold it back like that. Your second one, so we can fold these now. So again, I'm using 290, so I'm being quite gentle because I don't want to crack it. Okay, and then I'm going the other way. So I'm hoping I'm not missing comments. Last time I tried to do this, suddenly the comments stopped coming up, so I will go back over and have a look afterwards. So if I'm not replying, it's not because I can't see it, it's because I haven't been able to get it to work. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a burnish. And this one is going to sandwich in between. In fact, I want it to go that way. Sorry, my apologies. I want it to go that way. It's going to sandwich in between. So this fold, so I folded it so that that is a mountain, that is a valley. Okay, I'm going to fold that under, and this fold is going to go over the top, level with that edge of the spine. So you're sandwiching the spine between the first two pages. So I'm just going to put some glue along that. And you're sandwiching your spine between those two pages by lining up your fold against the edge of that spine. And then you'll have your spacer here on the right. So the first one goes under the spine. The second one goes over the spine with the crease against the edge of the spine. And now you just wait for it to stop buffering. You've got your spacer there for the third one. So again, I'm going to fold it and fold it so that I can work out which way I want it to go. You want it flexy, so don't worry if you've got to fold it back the other way. That's absolutely fine. So let me see which way I want this to go. I want this to go with that fold going up to that spacer. So again, fold it. So you've got mountain and then valley. Fold it back on itself. So this is your fold, and this is going to go up against the spacer of the one before. When you come to do this, you'll understand what I'm trying to say in my rather garbled way. So there's my fold, there's my glue, there's the spacer from the one before, and I'm going to pop that up level with that, and that should more or less, in fact that's perfect, be level with the end of your spine. So I can see now, I just need to get the glue off there. So now, when you come to play, these will all open. So you can wriggle them about a bit, but it will fold absolutely flat, which is what you need. So when it folds flat, your spine is on the left and your pages come out to the right. So you want it to fold flat so that it will fit inside your pocket. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is, I've used the largest size of my BatWing dies to cut these. So this is the next size down, and you want 6 of these. I've already cut some of them, but I wanted to show you how to cut the rest. You can't cut them all at once because you need to be on a different side. So your front cover, you need your cut to be on the left. And I'll just get my trimmer. You're going to cut off 3/8. So you're going to cut off, I'm going to go that way because I can see it better. You're going to cut off 3/8. So I said slightly different at the demo, but I found that now is the optimum. So 3/8 is going to come off. And on this one, it's going to come off on the left. So this is going to be your front cover. So if you look, and you can see I've gone round with the blue ink on these. You've now got your front page and you've got your trim. Now you may need to trim that down again. It depends how accurate your folds are against your cuts. So I'm just going to put a bit of ink on there and a bit of ink on there. And this is going to be my front page. So I will decorate this up afterwards. So I'm just going to always gunk it up with my glue gun. So I'm just going to put some ink. No, I'm not. I'm going to put some glue around there and position that. Again, because you can fold it flat, it really makes it easier. Position that on there. I'm using Stamperia Quiet Days, so the new papers from Stamperia. And then that's going to go on there. I'm just looking to see that it's not, in Maggie's words, going to impinge the hinge. If it is, I might just trim a tiny bit off. Okay, and I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to run that up there like so. Okay, and then you can line it up nice and neatly. So your next one then, you need to cut it off the right side. So I'm going to take 3/8. This time I'm going to take it off the right side. I like to be able to line it up. So although I'm taking it off the right side, I'm turning it over because I want this flat bit at the top. So I hope that's not too confusing. Okay, so this time it's coming off the right side, like so. So this is going to go and fit neatly onto there. And again, you may need to trim, but I don't think so. I don't think that's going to impact on the hinge at all. So I'm just going to just put a little bit of glue on there and there. Like so, and then that's going to go on there, like that. Now you can decorate these up. I was thinking, I haven't prepared it today, but what I did think, so I'm just going to pop that onto there and that, oops, onto there. And because you've cut it off the same thing, you've still got that slight slant and you've got a complete pattern match. So that goes there. But I was thinking you could probably use your pocket dies and make a nice little pocket for that page. But what I wanted to show you was how to use the new dies. So I've got one here, oops, which is all prepared. So I've got my batwing. I've cut already my 3/8 off that side. Oops. So there's my 3/8 that will fit in there like that. And then the rest of this is going to fit on there like that. So I've used the new little corners. I adore these because I think they are so flexible with the different things you can do with them. What I'm going to do is just show you one way, but I'll talk about the other ways. So all I've done is I've used the plain corner and I've cut myself a piece of blue card to match my card that I'm using. Then what I've done, I'll turn this over, again I've done a snuggly. So I've snuggled it into those two sides there. And if I take it off, you can see there's no little bits hanging. But what you get, take that off there, and do it properly, Sarah. Just take that out of there. Is you get two little slots. So I don't know whether you can see them. I'll tell you what, let me just grab this. So you get a little slot there and another little slot there. So if you wanted to use these to put photos in, it just perfectly goes in like that. Now, if you wanted it just as a photo corner, when you come to put the glue on it, you would put the glue all the way around the edge and on this little bit here. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue, she says, hoping the glue is going to come out, all the way around the edge. Just on the 3 edges. And I'm not going to put glue anywhere else. So I'm not gluing this bottom bit. And then I'm going to put it onto this corner. Like, whoops. I'm going to try and put it on the corner, like so. Okay, just get rid of all that excess glue. My glue gun either doesn't work at all or is putting too much glue out at the moment. It's my fault I don't put it away at night properly. Okay. And I'm just going to clear the glue off my fingers a little bit, only because otherwise I'm just going to stick to everything. So, I'm going to stick this piece on. So I'm just going to go around the edges. I'm sorry about the buffering. If you've not been with us before, we live really out in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, our signal's not brilliant. So that's going to go into there, like so. And then this, and I'm just going to make absolutely sure that I haven't glued. So I want that, it can go like that, but I also want it to go like that. And then my little corner, again, if I was going to use it as a photo corner, I would glue the whole thing down. I don't want it as a photo corner in this particular instance. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there and there. And because I just want to make sure it goes on this page and not on all the others, I'm just going to fold that back. And then that is going to go on to there. Lift it up, use my finger to make sure it's in place. So when that is dry, what I will then have are 3 little tuck spots. I have a tuck spot there. Whoops. See, this is what happens. I'm too impatient. I'll have a tuck spot there and I'll have a tuck spot there. So what I've created are 3 little tuck spots. So you can have it to create tuck spots. You can have it to create photo corners. I'm not going to try and move it again. They're just so versatile. Okay. Oh, what have I done with that little piece? There it is. So this little piece, I want to match up the pattern if I can and pop that onto there. Like so. Trying not to impinge the hinge if I can avoid it. Okay, and then the next page is a plain page. So again, I've cut it so that this is on the right. Then I've cut myself another photo corner, which I'm going to put there, and then finally one on the back. So what you will have is that little space in between. So all you need to do is cut yourself a little bit of extra paper, just as a little strip in there if you need it. So I'm not going to finish making up the book, but you can see how that is now going to come together, and then that one is going to go on the back like that. So I'm going to go back to my pocket now. So this is my page. So my book is 8 by 8. So my page is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. The paper that I'm going to put on top is 7 1/2 by 7 1/2. And I've gone round it with my blue ink. I find it very difficult to think, talk and do all at the same time. Okay, so that is going to go onto there. Now I would normally use my corner spacers to get that absolutely accurate, because I can see that isn't. But for time, I'm not going to do that. So I'm now going to take this pegs off this, and because I've been patient, it is now a perfect corner. And this is where Cool Katz come into their own. Everything they do, they provide in ways of dice, you could do. But when you want perfection, and when you want it to look really, really nice at the end, just those dies just make it perfect. So I'm now going to put some glue on this. So on all three sides, like so, and on the bottom. I should have said two sides and the bottom, but you know what I mean by all three sides. And for this I am going to use my corners, and if I'm right, I think it was that one, but I'm not going to do anything else other than, no, it wasn't that one, it was that one. Okay, so I've worked this out before the demo so that I knew. So I'm going to place that onto there, but I'm not going to stick it down yet until I'm sure that was the right one. It was the right one. So that is going to go like that. That is now absolutely in the right place. I'm just going to straighten it up with my little finger, because I do want it to be perfect. Okay, and then holding it still, I'm just going to get my multi-purpose tool in there, keeping it straight. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm happy with that. And then I've cut myself a piece of paper, and this is 6 by 2 3/4, and that is going to be my cover. I've gone round it with the blue, so I'm just going to pop that onto there, like so. That's going to go over the top like that. And to prove that my book will fit exactly in there. And because you can fold it absolutely flat, it will fit. And when you started to put a few photographs in, it will be an even snugger fit, so that it won't tip out too easily. I mean, mine's not put together yet, so it will tip out. And then what I like to do is choose a little decoration to go on the front there. Let me just move my mess a little bit. So, demoing using the BatWing dies in a slightly different way, using the corner pocket dies, and using the brand new and absolutely wonderful little photo slot.